Hello, World History students. Welcome to this flipped instructional session on Unit 4, Lesson 2, Building Power and Pyramids. For my tip of the week, we are back at the beginning of the unit. So for Unit 4, make sure that you go into your course materials, find the notes guides by unit, click on Unit 4, go ahead and print that out at the beginning of the unit, and as you go through each lesson, you can take notes. As you can see, this lesson has a lot of different parts. So we're going to touch on a few of those, and then I'm going to have some extra videos and reading for you to complete before you come to the flip follow-up. So let's take a look at our lesson introduction. For centuries, people have marveled at Egypt's pyramids, the oldest and largest stone structures in the world. It's hard to believe the Egyptians built these giant monuments without modern machinery, metal tools, explosive, or even workhorses. But why did the Egyptians go to so much trouble to build the pyramids? Why did they spend precious resources on projects that took thousands of workers 20 or 30 years to complete? Don't forget to click on that lesson resources button in your introduction to pull up the resources that you need for this lesson. You can take a moment to read through today's objectives, but we're looking at several different aspects of Egyptian life. We're looking at the gods, the pharaohs, their fascination with the afterlife, pyramids, sphinxes, mummifying bodies, their system of writing and hieroglyphics. So take a look at all of that and how the Egyptians used these different aspects. All right, so the first thing that we're going to take a look at is worshiping many gods. So the Egyptians believed in a physical afterlife and that the soul of a pharaoh continued to guide the kingdom even after that pharaoh's death. So they would build huge pyramids as tombs. So these pyramids served as tombs for their pharaohs, and they would fill them with everything a royal family might need in the next world. Gods and goddesses played an important role in their daily life. And so on the second page of your lesson, you're going to see the gods and goddesses activity where you can match the Egyptian gods and goddesses with their role. So this was actually read in lesson 1. We're in lesson 2 now. You read on page 102 in lesson 1 about the gods and goddesses. So make sure you read that and then we'll complete this activity together in class. There are several videos in your D2L course that I need you to go ahead and watch before you come to the flip follow-up session. We are going to discuss the contents of these in class, so make sure that you flip through the screens and watch these videos. The first one talks about Egyptologists and how they look at these pyramids as time machines, how they're portals to the past, and how they use them to discover how great the tombs really are and what they were used for. The second video is going to talk about things like how were these built? How long did construction take? How did people with only simple machines raise these stones? So watch that second video and we'll discuss what your theory is. How do you think that they were built? You'll see kind of a new theory in this video of how they could have been constructed from the inside out. So come to class ready to discuss what's your theory. How do you think these pyramids were actually built? And then last, there is a video about the construction around these pyramids and how there were villages around these pyramids and just talking about that. So take a look at the third video as well. Then you are going to check your reading. So I mentioned in lesson 1, you actually read pages 102 to 107. And so you're going to check your reading and make sure that you have all of these questions answered. If you have a question about any of these, let me know, but we're going to briefly discuss why did the Egyptians call their king Pharaoh? What power did the Pharaoh exercise? For whom did the Egyptians build the pyramids and why did they build them? Why did the Egyptians mummify bodies? What is a sphinx and what was its purpose? And describe the process of building the pyramids. Now let's talk about pyramids versus ziggurats. So in chapter 4 and in unit 3 of our course, we learned about the Sumerians and then we learned about the ziggurats that they built. Now we're learning about these Egyptian pyramids. And so now we want to be able to compare and contrast these two types of structures. So let's take a look at these. So the pyramids were the oldest and largest stone structures in the world. They were royal homes for eternity. So they would put their pharaohs in here and think that they would have an afterlife. So they had all of these treasures and riches that the pharaohs would need for eternity. Some of the pyramids still stand today. Sometimes they are covered in white stones and they gleam from a distance. Versus the ziggurats from Mesopotamia. They were made of sun dried and baked bricks. These were a temple for the city's god. They were decorated with paint and sometimes gems, and they were a center for city life. Both of these structures, both pyramids and ziggurats, were constructed without using modern machinery. They inspired wonder and awe in the people, and both required great organization and a division of labor to complete. And so now you are going to read on. So in this lesson, in lesson 2, you're going to read pages 107 to 109 in your textbook. As you're reading these, you are going to jot down the answers to these questions. How did the Egyptians use hieroglyphics? Once the Egyptian civilization came to an end, people forgot how to read hieroglyphics. So, what object did French soldiers discover in 1799 that helped scholars learn how to read hieroglyphics? How many years passed between the time the object was created and the time the French soldiers discovered it? And how did the object help the scholars decipher hieroglyphics? We'll discuss these answers in class and then make sure that you write a definition in your notes about hieroglyphics and papyrus. All right, and then in the last screen beyond the lesson, it takes you to a couple of different websites. These are optional and for enrichment, so you don't have to do that. But if you have a moment to take the challenge of building your own pyramid, then you can go to the first website in your course, the Pyramid Builder, so you can launch that game. If you build a pyramid, bring a picture of it to class. We're going to kind of look through some of this as well. There are 3 other sites that it takes you to. Nova the Pyramids, and then Explore the Pyramids, which is a National Geographic site. All of these sites are really awesome and kind of dive into the Egyptian life. And so we're going to take a look at these in class as well. So I will see you on the flip side. Look for the flip follow-up session in your Class Connect schedule. Make sure that you complete the activities and then come to that session and we will discuss. I can't wait to see you in class.